Hey everyone, it's Joe Glines here, and today I'm talking with John Lalonde, and he's joined us and actually led a couple of our webinars in AutoHotkey. And today, I talk about Quick Access Popup a lot, and I give references to a lot of my videos because it's a great tool to simplify, building menus and creating shortcuts, and does 8 million things. John, I happen to notice I launched it and it said there's been a major update, and I was looking at the updates and I thought, hey, Sean, do you want to walk through some of these updates, because a lot of them look pretty significant. So
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for still being a nice promoter of Quick Access Pop-up. Yes, in the last month, I would say I started working on version 10 in last November, and I worked on it for quite maybe 4 or 5 months before releasing it. So it's a major new release. A large part of it is a rewrite of some of the core functions, core features of the code behind Quick Access Pop-up to make it easier for me to maintain it, improve it, debug it using new techniques. I don't have to go in the technical details here, but some of you may know the object-oriented programming classes. So these things help play with the object that you build when you build a software. And I had to do that because, as you know, Quick Access Pop-up is quite a long time software. I released it first. It was called at that time Folders Pop-up because it was only to open folders. I think it was in 2014. And with all the suggestions I received from users, I improved the tool, renamed it Quick Access Pop-up because now it allows you to access to almost anything on your computer and on the web. And but doing that, adding code, adding features, at some point it becomes harder to maintain and develop. So I did this major rewrite that went us to version 10, and now we are at version 10.4. 10.4.2, if I remember well what the latest version here. So yeah, so in addition to reworking, of course, I added new features. I revamped the interface, the user interface, to make it easier to use. So if you wish, I can show it to you in the next minutes, hours.
Yeah, actually, the one thing I was going to mention was, if you're totally new to Quick Access Pop-up, this isn't the video for you, right? There's other videos on John's site. We actually did like a 45-minute, deep dive into the tool. That's a really deep dive, but he has a lot of great shorter videos to introduce you to the tool. So go check those out if you're totally new to QAP. It's a great tool, but this is just highlighting the additions and changes he's made.
Yeah, so it's intended for current users who didn't upgrade yet or upgraded without necessarily checking on what's new, because often you upgrade just to make sure you are up to date, but not taking time to explore the new features. And you do not necessarily need all these features. Quick Access Pop-up is a kind of toolbox mainly dedicated to power users. Some regular user will find benefits to it, but maybe with only 10 or 20% of what is in the application, but there's another 80% that more technical or knowledgeable users will find, or those who just like to have their work automated as you are, Joe. So you do not need to be very technically savvy, but just having the interest and taking the time to set up the things that will make you more efficient. And there's a lot of that in Quick Access Pop-up that you can use. So I could start with maybe the most visible change in Quick Access Pop-up. I'll just share my screen to show you. I have just one of two slides to show you, but after that we'll go into the application itself. So mainly I will talk to you about the new Customize window. It was called the settings window before, just renamed it and adding new features to it. I'll talk to you about the new options window. And then I know, Joe, you like very much to use the hot strings, and so there's this snippet feature is something you like very much, combined with hot strings, and some various addition. We'll see how much time we have to go through that. But first, take a look at the new Customize window. I just just bring an image from my website to show you the differences between the previous release and the version 10 settings customized window. So on the left side, you see that there's a lot of buttons at the bottom and at the top. And so I removed many of these buttons to a toolbar that you see here on the right side. So many features like accessing the shortcuts, the icons are now under the tool menu here. So less visible, but still easy to find. And it makes more room on this window for the main thing here, which is the list of your favorites that you want to have in your pop-up menu. Also, the search box here has been moved under the drop box, the drop down list of menu. So there's there's a loop here that you can click to reveal the search tool, and so it gives more room to your favorites. So let's see it live now. So I click the middle mouse button to open the customize window. And you see here the menu bar. Quickly, under file, you have what is related to your settings file, the ini file that contains the quick access pop-up settings, the folder where is located the database that is behind quick access pop-up. You do not necessarily need to use these features regularly. You can temporarily switch to a new settings, so a temporary settings file, that's where you can do that. And of course, you can, in this menu, use the exit feature if you need to quit or to restart quick access pop-up. Under favorites here, you have items that you can also use with these buttons on the right side. These are very frequently used, so I left the buttons there because you will use it each time you customize your menu. But it's also there for those who prefer to use the menu or for those who prefer to use the shortcuts. And I added many shortcuts, so Control N to create a new item, etc. And also there's a sort feature here and the select all items that would allow you to select everything here. Under the tools, some of the features that were in buttons before. So for example, the list of shortcuts that are already used in your menu. What you have in this example here is the default menu that is created the first time you launch Quick Access Pop-up. So there's a set of favorites there. Of course, you can and you should modify it. So remove those that you don't use and add new folders, documents, various features. And here I added the demo menu that contains sub items that I can use during the demo later in this presentation. So going back here, we were in the shortcuts, showing the shortcuts already. So for example, Windows W to open the menu or Shift Control T to enable the always on top feature. I'll show you more about that later. There's also the hot strings list. So the hot strings that are generally associated to snippets, to launch a snippet. I'll show it to you also later. So these features were already there. What is changed is the way you can access it using the menu, the list of icons that was also already there. And some more less used features and the search tool that you can access by clicking on this loop. Is it magnify? What's the name of this?
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass. In French, it's loop. So I said loop just by wrong association. Excuse my English sometimes. So when you click on this button, it will switch to the search view of this window where you can type what you're looking for. If I type work, it will raise 3 items that contain the letters work inside the favorite name. And if you wish to search more widely, you can click the extended search here that will search the same words here, the same letters, but inside not only the name, but also the menu where the favorites are located, or various other criteria, for example, the location. If it contains work in the location of the folder or the document, it will also be here. So you can access this search tool by clicking this button here, or by enabling it here with the search for favorites. And the extended search is also available here if you want to enable or disable that. Just before talking about option, I will just take a look at help here. So there was a help button here at the top. It's now under this menu here, and various resources, many of them being on the QAP website, where you can search for the knowledge base, for example, or go to the support forum to ask questions or report bugs. And finally, there's this new option window here. There was an option window before, but it was with tabs at the top, and you had to change tab to navigate the different sections. And it was quite limited in the way you could navigate inside that. So I made a new window that is wider, and that have, instead of tabs at the top, there are sections on the left side. And each of these sections will regroup logically the numerous options offered by Quick Access Popup. In the first one, the more general option, for example, the language, where you can choose among the 10 or 12 languages available, your folder where your settings are. The customize window is where you define how this window will be displayed. There's one new option here that will display with your favorites, not only the name and the location, but also the date it was created, the last date it was used, and some statistics. If you enable when the Quick Access Popup database is enabled, you can know how many times you used a given favorite, a given folder, or a given document. So these are various options related to customize. And menu icons is quite the same it was before, just displayed differently. Same thing for menu appearance, pop-up menu, the hotkeys, the file manager. You can, of course, by default, it works with Windows Explorer, but if you use Directory Opus or Total Commander, these file managers with more power than the basic Windows Explorer are well supported by Quick Access Popup. There's the snippets and string options here, and user variable, that is something that was existing before, but it's now here that where you can define kind of variable that you can use inside your path when you define a favorite. For example, instead of typing C/Dropbox, if you have two computers where you share your favorites, or if you use the shared folder with someone else using Dropbox, you want to have the same root for your Dropbox folder, and it's not necessarily the same root on every computer. So by using a variable like that, each user can configure its own root here. But when you share favorites, you will use Dropbox as the placeholder, if you wish, for the root of your Dropbox folder. Yeah. By default, Quick Access Popup, when you install it, it will detect if you have OneDrive, Google Drive, or iCloud Drive, because there are very specific variables that can be retrieved to propose these variables initially, but you can add your own by following the same structure here. Database, so you can disable or re-enable the database here. By default, it's enabled, and the good thing with the database it will collect what you do and give you some statistics and offer you a menu, for example, with the frequent folders. So if I open in the works menu here, you have frequent folders and frequent files that will show you what you use most frequently. There's nothing in it now because I'm just using a new instance of Quick Access Popup for this demonstration, but as you use it after a few days, you will see items there that are the most frequently used. And this is possible thanks to this Quick Access Popup database. So that's the new options window. And yeah, so that's the tour of the the new customized window with a few new additions that I can show you here. There's this button here, which is an eye, and the reason I put it there is sometimes I improve this tool because myself I find something frustrating and I say, oh, what could I do to improve my tool to be less frustrated with it? So for example, if you are in a menu like this one here and you would like, or let's take the under the demo, let's take this one here. And I see this and I say, oh, what's this document here? There's a word, let's say that's the Excel document example. What's inside this? To know that, I cannot open the document itself from here. Here, what I do is that I customize my menu. So I would have to open my menu, go inside the section where it is, and finally I could find it here. And there I can open it and see what's inside this document. But what I can do now is just to click this eye, it will open just the menu where I'm located inside my customized window with all its features, with all its submenus, if there are submenus. So I can click now on this document here. I'm not sure if it works. I'll just try it. Does it exist? Yes, it does. So that's an example document. So that's the reason for this, and it's very useful also when you use the search tool.
Yeah, I can see that.
So if I select this here and I want to open this financial report here, I can now click on this and it will show what is currently inside my search results. So this financial report here will now open in Excel. There's something on this computer that makes that the icons, there should be an Excel icon here. It's not just there now just because of some favorites import that I did here. So I would just to fix it, but normally you will see here the icons of the application that will be launched to open this favorite. So that this new tool here is this new button here is very useful. There's the sort button here that will sort the favorites according to various criteria. Before in version, I think it was introduced with 10.4. You can now sort with various criteria here. So that's that's a new feature also available. So you can sort not only by the name, but also by any of the columns. And here I enable the extended format. If you remember here, I talked about the display date and stat columns in the favorite list. So if it is enabled, no, okay. And I will make it full screen. So you see, normally you see the name, the menu, the type, the hotkey, and the location. But if you want to just review your favorites, see what you have added most recently or use most anciently, so you can use this and then sort by these various criteria. So the last modified date, the creation date, the last use date, which is empty now because this is a new setup that I have here, and same thing for usage. So it would tell us here the number of time these favorites has been used in the past. So that's the most advanced view of the customized window.
Jean, one thing people really should consider is, if they turn on the date timestamp tracking, and then go back maybe once a month, go back in, look at what's being used, and hey, you know what? Things that are heavily used, create either a hotkey or a hot string to trigger it, right? Because it's a great cheat sheet, because it's really hard to know how many times you're hitting something, but when you see that, it could really help you.
It gives me more ideas for ways to also to use the database to suggest favorites that you do not have in your menu, but Quick Access Popup knows that you used it a lot because it's frequently found in the recent items of Windows.
The MRU.
And so so these I'm thinking of providing ways to add favorites by just having some monitoring of what you're doing on your computer. Always confidential, of course. Yeah. Okay, so I'll return to my list of new features just to see. So I talked to you about the customize window, the new toolbar, the search, sort menu, a new feature, auto sort. If I go inside this menu here, I can, if I edit the menu, let's do it this way here. So I'll just make it smaller. We don't need it to be that big. So in this menu here, when I edit it, there's now a feature that allows to sort the menu automatically. So before that, you had to sort it yourself. So you could use this and sort the menu there. Let's say I'll do it now, sort it by name. I will remove the separators here because they make no sense in the sorted menu, so I will remove it. So you can sort it, but after that, if you add items, they will be added at the beginning or at the end or where you want them to be, but they would not be sorted automatically. But now what you can do, and to edit this menu, I can also show you that you can now right-click inside the menu and choose edit this menu. So it will take you back to the screen where you can edit this section of your pop-up menu. And I say that I want this section to be sorted automatically by name or by type or by location or by modified dates or any criteria ascending or descending. Of course, the most frequently used is by name ascending, so it's by default like that. And now I have my folder sorted from E to W. And if I want to change it, I can click name again here. It will sort, but reverse if I wish. So you can change the sorting from this menu here or from the menu properties. And if I am adding a new item here, let's say I'll add a folder, C backslash. My keyboard here is new keyboard. Is it? No, it's a French keyboard. I wanted to be English keyboard. Yeah. Let's try this one. So backslash, please. Yes. And I'll call it ZZZ. Okay, add. Okay, new feature, quick access pop-up will tell me that I already have a favorite for this location. I'm using it frequently when I'm doing demonstration. So you will not by error create a duplicate favorite in your menu. It tells you, oh, it's already there. But if you really want to save it, like in this situation here, you click yes, and it will be added, and it's been added automatically at the end. And if I change it to name it LLL, it will go to the middle of the list automatically. So that's a way to keep your menu organized by any criteria you wish automatically. So it was auto-sorted menu. There are arrows here, left and right, where you can browse inside your menu. So previously I was in the demo menu. Previously I was in the main menu. If I want to return to the demo menu, I can click right and right again. So it will browse inside your different menus. And also if I'm doing a search here, I can also browse back to the folder I was before or return to the search. So not sure if it's very used, but it was fun to develop, and it took a lot of amount of time to code just these two little arrows. Yeah. But hopefully there will be convenient for browsing your content. Copy and move submenus and groups. So before in Quick Access Pop-up, you could, and I will return to, I will stay here. You could move items, like for example, clicking copy or move for single items. But when you add a menu, and I'll just go back here, I could not copy a full menu before. Now it's possible to copy a menu, and by a menu, I mean everything that is inside the menu, including the sub-menu that it can contain, because menus are can be not self-contained. What's the name? Recursive, or a menu with submenu. So it's a kind of branch that you can take and copy and put somewhere else in your menu. It can be useful if you have a kind of templates of something that you build, for example, for a project. You have a set of files and favorites, and you want to copy it for another project, so you can copy your menu and just have to do the small changes for the new project or for the new client. So that's, and same thing for move. If it's here and I want to have it somewhere else, I can click move and select the destination of this that I want for this menu. So these are the main changes inside the customize window. I already showed you the new options window. And now your favorite topic, Joe, is snippets and hot strings. So maybe for those less familiar with that, because many users use it and love it, and other users just don't know what it is. And it's good, even if it's more for current users of Quick Access Popup. Let's say that you don't know it for a second. I'll just do a quick intro to that, okay? Yeah. So I click add, I click snippet, and I'm adding here a piece of text. So this is a piece of text. And let's say that I'm using it frequently. It could be your address, your email address, you could use it for your password, but just be careful with with this.
Don't get in trouble. Yeah.
But anything that your postal address, 4 lines, it can be an introduction paragraph, an auto reply answer that you want to insert in your email, anything. It can be short or long text. It can be just basic text. It can also be, if you go into the advanced mode, in the advanced settings, in a macro mode. So there it will just not copy the text of your snippet, but it will also type the keys that you can enter. So if you enter a tab key, I would enter here a symbol. What's again? It's
the keyboard.
Yeah, my English keyboard. I'm used to French keyboard, but I'm now here in an English environment to do this. So if you enter, is it accolade? Accolade?
We call it a curly brace.
Curly brace, yes. Accolade in French. Curly brace are the delimiters, opening and closing, for a code that is a key. So tab is a key, enter is a key, F1 is a key. So you can enter, and there's a lot of that. And if you go into the help for snippets, you'll find more about that. So, but for this simple example, I just reverted to the text mode, the regular mode, and I'll give it a name, my snippet here. And I click add, so it goes inside my menu here. And now if I go in a slide, for example, here, and I open my menu, I'll just save it before. Okay, I'll close it. So I open my menu, and I should make it at a more convenient place, but I'll use a not string after that, so you will see. So, but for now, there's no string. There's no way to pull it easily. I have to open the menu and select my snippet, and it will type the piece of text that I entered in my snippet. But what is, of course, more convenient is to do it. I'll open the customize window. I'll return here. Is to launch it using an hot string. So under menu options here, you could set up an hotkey. So I would type a Shift Control S and it will execute the snippet if I configure it. But for snippets, what is very interesting is the hot strings. So for example, I will just use MS for my snippet, and this hashtag symbol that I'm using just to make this string unique. And I am saving it. I will also use this option here, do not wait for ending key. If I don't do that, after having typed my string, I have to press enter or space to enable the string, but I prefer just this to be the code I type here. So I will save it. And from now on, when I type dash, excuse me, MS, and boom, it is translated to the text I entered. So that's a quick introduction to snippets. What is new now regarding snippets is that if I have a text in my clipboard and I say this text, I'm using it frequently. So I put it in my clipboard, and now I will use a feature that is called quick add, and it's not in my menu by default. So I will add this feature to my menu. So here I click add, I select QAP feature, and here you have about 50, 60 features. So things that Quick Access Pop-up can do for you. I cannot put all these features in the default menu that appear when you first launch Quick Access Pop-up, because you would run away because there would be too much. But as you discover that, you can add them to your menu. And one of them is the quick add, snippet quick add here. That was already there. I didn't see it, but I now have it at the top of my main menu here. So from now on, if I choose this feature, it will automatically retrieve what's in my clipboard. You remember I copied that a minute ago. So it will place it as suggested content that I can of course edit. And it will take the beginning of this text just to propose something as a name for this, this snippet. So I will just keep this here. And in the same screen, without having to do it in 2 steps, before you had to do it in 2 steps, create the snippet and go in after that inside the options to define the hot string. Now you can define the hot string right here. And I will just call it, in this case, new. With this option here, I add it, save. And if I return here, and I type, whoops, okay, I type NEW. Oh, okay, I forgot something. In my snippet, there was a code, the placeholder, something that I want to talk to you, but it takes me to this before I plan. So let's, I'll explain to you. So this is my text. So I am prompted for something that I can enter inside the snippet as I execute the snippet. So each time I will execute the snippet, it will ask me to enter something. If I wish, if it is useful for you, for example, you have something that you do frequently, but each time there's a little difference, which is the first name of the person or the code of the client, the ID or something like that. So you can use it to type it as you go. And so I have here now my new placeholder and my text that I add. This is the text that was, and I will return to the snippet to show you. No, that's not this one. That's the, it's been added at the end here. Yeah. So you see here the code input prompt. So it's something new that I wanted to talk to you. So I didn't realize that I would, when I included it in my example, that it will take me
I saw it earlier too, and I was
you
waiting
let me
for it,
go,
and then I forgot about it. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is this code? It's called a placeholder. Similarly to the user variables that we've seen earlier, you remember when we saw a Dropbox with the curly braces? Now between the curly braces, the code that is here is input and column. And after the column is the prompt. So I will change the prompt here for type something, or type the client number, for example. And also there's another placeholder, which is the code now, that will type the current date of the current date and time following the various formats. And let me just check here for make sure I will use a valid format. Let's say I want to use a year, month, day. So this format is, I think it's at the bottom of this page. There's a lot of placeholders that you can use. I'll use, for example, this one here. So it will be year, month, day. So I will type it here instead of format, which was just an example. And I will save this new placeholder. And I will use it again here. And it tells now type client number. I will say it's 123. And it will type my snippet, inserting what I answered to the prompt, type your client number, and it will enter the current date here in the format I selected. You could insert time if you wish. It all depends on the format that you specify inside the code. So that was something, the other thing new about snippets, Joe, if I return here. So the quick add is just a quicker way to create a snippet based on what's in your clipboard. And in one step, you create the favorite, you select the folder, the submenu where it will be saved, and you assign the out string all in one steps. And the other thing was these new placeholders, input and now.
Let me give a little feedback or some conversation real quickly here, Sean. Is like you said, I have a lot of snippets. You know, I use them as hot strings, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes I do put them in your tool. It just depends, you know, where I'm working. But I can't encourage people enough that so often we write the same things over and over and over. And what I really wanted to compliment you on is the quick add thing. Like just this morning, I was going through and I have a bunch of videos where I had specific tags in them and titles, and they were incremented. So I just had to go through do the first one, and I had a number and then change it and stuff. And at first I was like, well, I'll type them out here and then I can copy and paste. And then, you know, thankfully I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to create 2 snippets that'll take me about 20 seconds to create. And then I could just use them as I move through. So I think what's really great about having that snippet quick add is you don't have to think about it's only for stuff that I'm going to use forever, right? You could be doing something that hour, that 20 minutes, and you're like, you know what? I keep writing this over and over. And because I'm copying multiple things from the clipboard, it's just easier to say, I'm going to create a couple snippets, right? And then I can jump between them. So it's
it's easy to delete when you're finished with that because you don't need it anymore. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's a temporary. Think of it as more of a temporary, like, oh, I just need this really quickly. But you know what, man, it's amazing how often, you know, when you're writing people, I wrote out, and you were one of the recipients the other day. I wrote, you know, like a dozen people, you know, a standardized email, but then I personalized it after. So it dropped in stuff, but then I personalized it, and I cruised through it because I did that.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
And now with the input, when you customize,
right.
you can even include the customization inside the snippet itself, and it will ask you the name, or if you have just little things to change. Of course, if you want to personalize more deeply, it will not help, but often it's what you want to insert is very easy to configure like that.
Yeah, as a simple example, you know, let's say you were writing a bunch of, you know, sales follow-up stuff. You might say, hi, input name, you know, Jean, and that's where you type the name. And then, you know, it was really great talking to you the other day, blah, blah, blah. And then have a spot to say, you know, like you'd put the input, add personal note, right? And there you would mention something just personal that like lets them know you're talking to them particularly, right? And you could do this in no time. And just, you know, this is one I'd say, like, for a lot of salespeople, they do this kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of software that will also support this with mail merge and things like that. But you have something maybe more tied to your daily work here and available.
The other really great thing about this, because what I used to do is I would build like an Outlook template, an email template, and I would color code the things I wanted to change. I'd save it as a template, and I go in and replace it. But accidents can happen, and you can forget to replace the stuff in your tool. Because it's an input field, you'll be sure to really, you know, put something, you realize like it prompts you, right? So it's a good safeguard against, you know, having a template you'd forget to replace something.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And finally, I could talk to you about some other new features. One of them require to just open a folder. I'm just not sure which folder I will use because I'll try on inside here. Yeah, let's do it. So here you have a folder which is QAP demo. But just for example, the reason for the feature, a feature that is called auto open a subfolder. The reason for the example, the use case for me, and as I said often, the new features come from my own needs, so hopefully other people will find it useful too. I'm doing something every week, okay? And I have a folder that contains subfolders for each occurrence of what I'm doing every day, every week. So every week I'm starting something new. So I create a new folder and start to put some stuff in this, and that's something I will work on for a few days. And the week after I create a new subfolder. And I had a favorite that was taking me to the main folder where I had every episode, if you wish, under that. And I selected it, and I always had to go inside the most recently created one, the one for the week I'm working this week. So I added a feature that will automatically not open the folder you select, but the subfolder of this folder that is the most recently created. For example, there are some other criteria on that. So let's say here, inside here, I will just create a folder. I'll go here. New, where is it? Where? Come on, there was the new item. Control N would create a new, no, it will create a new window. You know, I'm using directory opus all day, so I forgot how to use. There's here, new folder. Okay, yeah. Saved. Alors, this is the newest folder here. And just for fun, I'll put something in it. I'll put this file inside my newest window, newest folder here. So I'll create a favorite for this folder and telling him to open the most recently created. So instead of opening QAP demo, it will open, this is the newest. So let's go inside Quick Access Popup. I'll add it here at the top. It is a folder. And in fact, what I could do instead of browsing, I'll just use this add folder to Quick Access Pop-up menu. It's just a context menu. So anywhere inside Windows Explorer, when you right click, you will have Quick Access Pop-up available here to add this folder to Quick Access Pop-up. So there we go. So I just saved a few clicks. And inside this folder, what I want to do is to enable an advanced setting here, which is open subfolder automatically. So you have to remember to go at the last tab here. And by default, it will open the most recently created folder. But it could be the most anciently, if for some reason that's what you need, or the most recently modified, if for some reason that's more convenient for you, or the most recently accessed. I don't know, I discovered that by working on this, Joe, that you can enable in Windows 10 a feature that will keep track of the access that you do on your folders and files. By default, it is disabled. So there's nothing returned by this information, or the access date time is equal to modify if you do not enable the log, if you wish, of the access of your files and folders. In the help on my website, I explain how to enable that if you want to do it. But so it can be of some use, but most frequently the usage for this will be to open the most recently created folder. I name it, I will rename it recently just to distinguish that.
Just to add a little commentary there, Jean.
Yeah.
you know, that to me, I love the functionality and feature, right? I think it's great. But what I wanted to point out was it's highly dependent on what it is, the task you're doing, because sometimes, you know, you might work on 7 different projects at a time, you know, at the same time, and you want to, but you basically hone in on one that you work in for that next 5 hours, and that's when you'd want that most recently accessed, versus like your example. I know, because I've talked to you before, you have a music show that you do, right? And every week you have a new version, and so it makes total sense there to say, give me the last one, because you're not necessarily going back and working on one from 2 weeks ago, right? It's always that last created one.
Yeah.
So to me, you know, sometimes I'll work on 5 or 6 things at a time, and that most recent one, especially because I will throw a hotkey on that thing in a second, right? I want to get to whatever that was I was just working on, because it's the hot item, and it's a great addition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if whenever I need to go in a previous show, I will go in, it will take me
Right.
in the most recent one, I have to go up and down. So
Right.
it's not that,
Yeah, you're still
that's a big
close.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm close.
Yeah.
And if I need, I can have 2 favorites, one for the main folder and one
Right.
for the most recent.
Right.
So here, this QAP demo recently, I opened my menu. So it's now here, and it will take me inside the newest folder, the newest subfolder of QAP demo.
Right.
So that's one of the additions that I'm happy to have for myself. Hope you will like it too. And what else here is some new special folders. So special folders are folders that are created by Windows when you install Windows. It's not something that you create yourself. It's there. You just have to find how to get there, because sometimes it's very deeply hidden. Inside Quick Access Popup, by default, you have here a menu called My Special Folders. With these special folders, most regularly used. Because I imported that, I didn't notice that there are some of them that has been imported that need to be updated. So sorry about these unknown special folders. I would have to fix that. What I want to show you is that you can add a special folder here, and it will show you the add special folder dialog box, where you can select inside 5 categories about 50 predefined Windows special folders. If you prefer, you can see all of them alphabetically also. And so some of them are new, has been added. They existed before, but I didn't think of adding them, and some users on the forum suggested to add them there. So for example, there's a special folder called application that will take you to the list of the applications running on your computer. I think it's here. Okay, it's here.
There it goes.
Here, yeah. There, okay. So it's opening a window with a list of applications on your computer. It's also accessible in a different way that I don't remember, maybe through the control panel or settings of your computer. But so it's a list of applications you have with various features here to manage them. So it's one of the new special folder. And Windows Search, which is also available when you open the search tool here inside in your main menu, in the Windows menu. Notification, you know, these icons that appear here. So you want to control which one are available. So you have to open the settings here, or is it here? So anyway, it's always hard to get there.
Yeah.
So you can now add it inside. I'll just reuse this one here. Okay, remove, I'll put it, add special folder. And this one is called, if I remember well, notification area icons. here, and it takes you to the list where you can control which icon will be shown in your taskbar and when they will be shown. So there are some others special folders that has been added, disk management, event viewer, things like that. And two last small features. The last one here, I don't know if you use something called conemu. I didn't use it before, but it's a user again on the forum who talked to me about that. It's a console emulator, so it emulates the CMD, you know, the console, the command line
Right.
tool of Windows.
Yep.
So this command line, I don't have conemu, but I can show you the command line usage when you are using Quick Access Popup. So here, if I select a folder, let's say I'll do something here. This menu is quite big and I don't like it. I prefer it to be a little bit smaller. So I go inside the options and select a smaller size for the menu icons. I prefer it, let's say very small. You see the difference. Okay, the same menu, but
Yeah,
more
much
compact.
better.
Okay,
Yep.
that's the way I use it, because of course with the time you add items and items. So let's say I want to return to my most recently created folder under QAP demo. So where is it? It's this one here. So even if I'm in the text-based environment, you know, this command line, it's text-based, but using Quick Access Popup, you can, using your graphical menu, select a folder and automatically it will type the command required to change to this folder. So it will type CD, Dropbox, QAPD mode. This is the newest and take you where you want it to be. So this was available already for command line as you see it here. It was also available for PowerShell, which is quite similar, a more power user command line. And because this user suggested to do it with conemu, which is a kind of command line with additional features, it's also supported now if you use
That's
it.
awesome, Sean. Yeah, well, you know, one of my favorite things that I love to demonstrate to people is the whole, just the dialog box of your open and save folders, right? It's one of the things I absolutely love, because you'll have a folder nested away somewhere, especially in a corporate environment, and you got 80 clicks to get there. And this is smart enough to recognize you have something open, and it just bam throws you into where you want to be. And again, make a hotkey for it, right? And if you use it
Yeah,
that often, and it's awesome.
yeah. So just to show it here, inside the dialog box, I will select the folder and it will take me to this
Yeah.
folder, which is empty of PowerPoint files for now, but it takes you
Yeah.
there and make it very easy. Also, when you save as is
Right.
always taking you somewhere you don't want
Oh,
to be.
always, for me, it always does. I was just cursing. I literally this morning out loud, because everything I was doing kept dropping me in the wrong. You know, I'm like, I don't use the My Documents. And
Yeah, and a nice feature also that maybe you know is that if I'm working here, okay,
yeah,
I want to save something
yeah,
there probably, okay. So
right,
when I'm here and let's say instead of open, I'll do save as. It's in French here, but it's the same feature you probably know. So I'm under save as here,
right,
and I want to save it where I was.
right.
I don't have to go up and down and search where am I, where do I want to be. You can just enable or the feature which is under the My Essentials, but there's a shortcut for that I use every day, every hour. Shift Control U, reopen current folder in dialog box.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Shift Control U, you can use it. And so it will detect in the last Explorer window
Active.
that you use, or
Gosh, right.
Directory Opus or Total Commander if you use these file managers. And
Yeah,
it will take you to this menu, to this folder automatically. So the department folder here is the one I was here. If I move to consulting here and use the same feature, it will take me to consulting. I didn't have to change it there. So you don't have to worry where is it.
right.
It's just where I was
Yeah, last. Yeah,
5
yeah,
seconds ago. So I want to
yeah.
return there. So it's very
That's
useful
brilliant.
also, combined with the fact that you can navigate inside dialog boxes. Just one thing I want to mention, but it is for new users, probably that existing users know that. But if you want to navigate inside dialog box, you have to go into the options and enable this feature here. Okay, just to make sure it works. If it's not enabled, it will tell you, do you want to enable that, and you will see it. And finally, last change is the, where is it? It's here. It's the new feature, Windows always on top. So you know what it is when you open the calculator? And you have a number here. And you want to copy this now. Of course, it can be longer than that, and you want to copy it there. So you go there. It's not, you don't see your window anymore. So
Right.
the calculator is not necessarily the finest example, but it's a convenient example for now. So what you want is, even if you click elsewhere, you want it to stay visible, to stay on top, as it said in the Windows management language. So what you can do now is, inside this window, is to enable, you have to install it before, it's already done here, and it's tied to the Shift Control T hotkey. So if I select here, or if I click Shift Control T, it makes this window always on top. So even if I click inside the PowerPoint, which is behind, I can still use it here, but it does not hide this window, because I said that I want this window to be always on top. So I just lost that one here. So Shift Control T in the shortcut I made will just disable that. So now it's turned off, and if I return here, it will hide the calculator, even if it's still there, but now it's behind because I disabled the always on top feature.
Jean, if you had Notepad also up, and you made the calculator always on top, could you then make the Notepad always on top, and would both stay on top?
Yes. I guess the most recently on top will be the most on top.
Yeah,
okay,
but,
so I say this one is on top here. If I open Notepad, it's behind, but I say Notepad is on top. Notepad, and I go inside.
Okay.
No, I'm here. So these two are still on top, but the most recent, no, they are equal. Okay, they are equal. They both stay on top of the one that is not configured with that. But no one has priority. They are the same top level, if you wish.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
I just close it here.
I use my screen clipping tool a lot for often a similar desire.
Yeah.
But
I really like your screen clipping tool.
Yeah.
I use it every day also. It's very
But that is a cool functionality, because sometimes you want more than just a little snippet of whatever, and this way it's still there. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's it, Joe, for this presentation. I don't know if you have questions or things that you would like to add.
No, I think that was all. I think I can't stress enough for people that QAP is an amazing tool. I think everyone watching this is probably users, right? So they get it. You add some really cool functionality to it. I think that's great. And as always, baby step into it, and just spend a little more time to improve your work life, because again, I think it's way underrated how often we do the same things over and over, right? We just don't realize it, and it's worth spending a little time to sharpen that saw, work on working smarter, not harder.
Just showing you the website, of course, where you can download it. You already know it maybe, but just take your attention. There's a lot of information inside the knowledge base here. There are also what's new pages here. So the one I was using to show you what's new is here. So you can also review what's changed, what's added, and with links to the knowledge base for more information about all these new features. And if you have questions or issues or just bug, or you can go inside, you can go to the Quick Access Pop-up forum, which is here. And you just create, you don't have to create an account if you just want to browse if there's an answer to your question already there. There's this QAP release section where each time I create a new version, there's a post that is made there. And if you create your account, but you can subscribe to receive alerts when there's something new, or of course, ask your own question, or there's a QAP wish list here where you can add suggestions to improve a Quick Access Pop-up.
Awesome, Jean. Well, thank you so much. And for, I know you've been working this for years, and it's an amazing tool. And the other thing I would ask is people to, comment on this video of hey, what's your favorite feature? And then also, share it. Go out to Facebook and mention that you're using it and share it, because it's, sharing is caring, right? As I like to say, I love sharing all these things. And, it takes a certain person to realize, what, let's spend a little more time working smarter than just get in our grind, right? We feel like we have to keep working, and we don't have time to learn something new. But this is one of those tools that can change your life, right? And it sounds bold, but it truly can. So thank you again, John.
Thanks to you, Joe. Have a nice day.
All right, have a good day. Bye.
Bye.